backstory on myself and how we got to be involved in the Rocksteady program and why, for me, it's become a passionate part of what we do, especially after being an instructor, a teacher for almost 40 years. We just added the Rocksteady program in Beaver Dam in December, so we've only had it there for about 5 months. I'll give you history. I'm from Beaver Dam, I'm in Martial Arts America there. We've been there, I've been in Beaver Dam for about 37 years. I had a student of mine who came to me last April, actually. It was a mom, and her husband had gotten his bike about years earlier, and with a couple of the kids, and mom was doing the class with us now. And she came up in tears one day and said, I need to tell you, Kevin, which is her husband, Kevin was just diagnosed with Parkinson's. Now, I didn't know much about it. I don't know how much you guys know. We'll share with you a little bit about it today. But I didn't know a lot about it, and but she was just, I just knew it wasn't good. I had a neighbor of mine years ago who died from Parkinson's. But so we got talking, and over the next couple of months, Kevin stopped in and chatted a bit and stuff. And in July, he came up and said, hey, I've been doing this program way down in Fitchburg, the south side of Madison. He said, driving there 2 or 3 times a week. He said, what do you think of a boxing program? I said, well, yeah, I've been teaching boxing forever. But I said, I need to check it out. So it took me until the end of September, and I went to Indianapolis for a 2-day, 14 to 15 hours a day of training, intense training. It was amazing. It was an eye-opening, life-changing experience. For me, it was about a 7-hour drive down there and back. On the drive back, I spent 6 hours on my phone calling every single person I knew in the United States who was running a martial arts school, told them the same thing. You have to take this program and do it. You have to add this program. We're a unique, we have the facilities, we have the teaching, we have everything available. I said, we got to do this. This is amazing. This is a life-changing program. We, my friends and I all over the U.S., we've been teaching since 1979. When I turned 3, I started teaching. So I know you guys won't calculate how old it is. I'm 39 and I'll stay that way for quite a while. But it was an amazing experience. We got to, while I was down there, not only did we learn about Parkinson's, because I really knew very little about Parkinson's. And what I did know was just kind of what I had seen and heard, and what most people know is the shakes. Okay, so that's the physical part of Parkinson's. There's a lot of other physical parts of Parkinson's. That I learned. There's the pain. There's fascination. Does anybody here know somebody with Parkinson's? Okay, I just died and went to heaven, not because I'm glad people have Parkinson's. I'm very sad that they don't. The reason I'm so happy is that our greatest challenge with the program is just getting people to come in and try it. Part of the disease, the physical part, the physical challenges, the mental challenges, those are actually, the physical is bad. I mean, all the things that happens to your body. I'll quickly just give you an explanation of what Parkinson's is. Basically, what's the stuff in your brain, Andy? What do you low on?
Dopamine.
Dopamine, there we go. My brain, see, I might have it. Your dopamine levels go down, so your brain doesn't communicate with your body. Or it happens very slowly. It's funny, the other day, one of the guys in there, we were doing a class, and I kept trying to remind him to do something. He looked at me funny and said, sir, just because my brain says to do it, doesn't mean my body's going to follow. And he was just joking around, but it was true. I mean, their brains might be saying, hey, like right now, everybody really quickly just raise up your right hand, please, quick. All right, that was pretty simple. With Parkinson's, they might be saying raise up their right hand. Oops, this one.
Is that why my hand didn't go up?
The communication, it's the dopamine is like the lubrication in an engine. The engine won't work if there's not oil. And the dopamine levels go down so far. The brain and the body don't communicate very well. It slows down. Now, so the physical part, and he was just talking about, I didn't know this, and I learned something from my students every single week. Andy on the way over here was telling me that he was just sitting in a car. What'd you say, you freeze up like? for a second. There we go. He freezes up
Like concrete?
yeah, just riding over here. We just came over, we met at the school, came over from Beaver Dam. He got out of the Jeep, he's just moving really slow. It was just kind of stiff. Wow. I've had the opportunity for some of the parents and actually the spouses and the caretakers to share with some stories. One of our boxers was in Walmart just a few weeks ago and ended up in the bathroom for over 45 minutes. Because he had to go to the bathroom, and while he was in there, his body froze up. Couldn't move. 45 minutes later, finally he was able to come out of the bathroom. Here's some of the worst stories. And Andy, I don't know if this happened to you. Have you ever had the police called on you yet?
I can't confirm or deny.
Okay. All right. I have to share with you. All of our boxers in the program, we call them our boxers, they all have nicknames. They earn nicknames over time. Andy's wife happened to explain to me, even before Andy joined, that Andy is a joker. So Andy's name is the Joker. Can I tell you your other nickname?
Yeah.
He's got another really good one too.
That'll be for another day.
What's that?
I said that'll be for another day.
Okay. The physical effects of Parkinson's are debilitating. It's a degenerative disease. So 10 years ago, and this again, I learned this last September, 10 years ago, when a person was diagnosed with Parkinson's, the neurologist would say, okay, this is as good as your life will get. It just goes downhill from here consistently, and get your stuff in mind. What happened though is over the last 10 years, they've done a lot of research and realized that physical, what they call forced intense exercise, is a huge benefit to people with Parkinson's. It has a dramatic effect on them physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. And so people who up until 10 years ago would just go home and sit around and wait for their body to basically give out of them, now come in and work out 3 to 6 days a week. With us, they're there at least 3 days a week, doing forced intense. And what that means is, I don't like the terms, but it's actually what it is. It's pushing them to work harder than they would normally work on their own. So forced intense exercise. So, and that the idea is, and actually here, while I was in Indianapolis, we got to meet people in various stages of Parkinson's. People that had it for a few months, all the way to people that had it for 10 and 15 years. But the neat thing was, the stories were consistent across the board. When someone that has Parkinson's comes in and starts a program like the Rock Steady program, it's very possible that not only will it slow down the symptoms, it actually will back them up. So there was a lady I met down there, really nice lady actually. She's very excited because she's coming to Green Lake later this year. She's going to come in and train with us for a week or two. But she was telling me that she had when she came into the Rock Steady program in Indianapolis, she couldn't drive. Had lost her driver's license, had lost her mobility. So many things had degenerated to the point that she couldn't be on her own anymore. After about 6 months in the Rock Steady program, she had her driver's license back, she had her independence back, and many of the symptoms had moved back. People actually improved, where actually the symptoms would go back 6 months to a year of improvement after just a few months. And then the great thing is it slows down the progression. Now the Rock Steady program is not about trying to find a cure, not even how to discover where the disease comes from. The entire program has one purpose. It's to improve the quality of life of people with Parkinson's. Now when I went there, I thought I was all excited. I'm going to come back and I'm going to teach a boxing program. Well, when I found out, I'll tell you where Rock Steady came from, so you just understand the history. The district attorney for the city of Indianapolis, which was a very, very big municipality, he was diagnosed at 32 or 33 years old, which is extremely young, with Parkinson's. And so at that time, over 10 years ago, just went home, sat around, and got worse and worse and worse. And he had a friend that was a boxer, said, hey, let's get together and just kind of work on boxing a little bit. So they did. Within 3 months, all of a sudden, his symptoms changed dramatically. He started seeing change. Wow. They kept doing it, and they decided, this is something we have to do. So he decided to hire a professional boxer. They got together, they set up a program, and they started Rocksteady Boxing. Now it's called Rocksteady Boxing. Unfortunately, we generally just call it Rocksteady. Boxing is just a small piece of the program. The reason why boxing, how many guys are boxers here? All right, so most people think boxing, go punch people in the head, or worse yet, get punched in the head. Okay, boxing is one of the most unique workouts in the world. To be a boxer, you have to have outstanding footwork, balance, center line, breathing, cardio function, strength, coordination, speed, reaction, cognitive function at a very high level. It's an amazingly complete overall body workout. So they still call it Rocksteady Boxing, but it's really Rocksteady. What we do in the class is so much more. It is really just like 30-40% of the program. We do a lot of work on footwork. If you have Parkinson's, you fall. We had one gentleman who came into the program. He had Parkinson's for 10 years. He was falling every single day, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. You can imagine what that does. Sooner or later, you're going to break something. So we work regularly on footwork, on center line, on how to go to the ground and fall safely, and how to get back up. Now, it was midwinter, late December, early January, and we had just finished class. I was just getting ready to close up, and this gentleman comes running in the door and said, I gotta tell you, I just fell out in the parking lot. Oh my gosh. Worst nightmare, somebody's, He says, oh no, you don't understand. He said, I just fell on the ice in the parking lot. I didn't get hurt. I did exactly what you told me to do, and I didn't get hurt. Well, then I started saying, well, how are you doing on falling at home? He says, I haven't fallen in over a week. Just because we work on those different skills, we work at helping them become safer, more mobile, more comfortable. We work on flexibility, strengthening, coordination. All of those things are such a big, huge piece. Oh, and by the way, we're going to have fun and get to hit things. Basically, the premise behind Parkinson's is we are fighting back. Today we did an exercise, and I said they had their backs against the wall, and their partners up front. I said, that's Parkinson's. What are you going to do to Parkinson's? We're going to beat the crap out of Parkinson's. We fight every single day to defeat Parkinson's. Now, the physical part is horrible. Okay? And again, I tell everybody, I tell these guys, I can never imagine what it's like to have Parkinson's. I'm going to give you 2 definitions that I got. When we were in Indianapolis at the training, they had people with Parkinson's there, and they said, hey, they asked the gentleman, would you please tell us what it's like to have Parkinson's? And the guy got up and said, here it is. He said, you feel crappy every single day. Some days you feel just a little less crappy. Wow, that's really a horrible way to live life. Andy's a beast. Okay, Andy's become a good friend. Andy came in, this was a few months ago, and he was doing the class, and I could tell he was tired. There was something going on. He's normally out there just really fighting. Quick side story for Andy. Andy works his butt off in that class. He's got 2. How old are your daughters, Andy?
14 and 9.
9 and 14. Andy busted his butt because he said, you know what? I'm going to be strong and I'm going to be around for my daughters. He's got a good motivator to bust his butt. So he's in there working like crazy. I mean, he's a role model for anybody who wants to work out, let alone somebody with Parkinson's. Andy's an amazing guy. Now this day he wasn't doing it. He was just moving really slow. So he came back on Friday, because we do class Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I said, Andy, you weren't really having a good day on Friday, were you? Or Wednesday. He goes, no. He said, I felt really, really crappy. He said, every part of my body hurt, even my eyelids. Can you imagine your eyelids hurting? But then he told me, he said, hey, I got to tell you the other part. I said, he came to class, I worked hard. He did it, busted his butt, even though I felt crappy. He said, I went home that day, I felt so much better. He said, I shoveled the sidewalk. I didn't use my snowboard, I shoveled the driveway. He said, I got cleaned outside. So the program makes a big difference. Physically, it's a powerful effect on their quality of life. But here's the part that's even worse. It's the mental, emotional, and the social effects. Most people with Parkinson's are on quite a drugs. They have to take one drug to do something, they have to take another drug to counteract the effects of the first one. Sadly, we lost one of our boxers earlier this year to suicide. That's a big part of the side effects of the medications that people on suicide, people with Parkinson's take. They become, usually it's one of 3 or 4 things. They become extremely angry, extremely depressed and suicidal, or extremely impulsive. Now at the school, in our group, there's only, I think, what is there, 9, 10 of us, something like that? Yeah, we have a small group right now. I've had the opportunity for them to share with me. We've had the effects, I've had all 3. I had one of the boxers who, once he got started on the drugs and stuff, and the side effects kicked in, he became so impulsive, he would go out and buy an entire trunk load of stuff every day. Just stuff. And then go hide it from his spouse. She didn't find out until all of a sudden he had spent a lot of money. And another one of the gentlemen told me, he said, when he first started going on the drugs, his side effects were anger. He would get so angry for no reason at all. He would just lash out. And then he realized it was from the drugs. And the other one was our suicide. She became really depressed. Sadly, we didn't recognize to the extreme that she was so sad, and she took her own life. But we now have a good idea that it was from the different medications she was on. So the mental part, the emotional side of Parkinson's, and the mental part, it's much more debilitating even than the physical. The physical is what you will see. My greatest challenge in this program, and I've been running businesses for over 35 years, I have them all over the world. The greatest challenge I run into is trying to get the people to come in the door. Every single person that came in and tried one class stayed. They said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. The emotional side is they tend to become, as soon as they're diagnosed, they tend to pull away from the world. They tend to become very isolated. It's part of the disease, it's part of the side effects of the disease, especially the emotional part. We had one gentleman who had a very social career. His job was with people. And he came to our program, and actually part of our program is we do, we're not where we get together and just do talks, but we get together and just socially get together and chat and talk. The class is just for people with Parkinson's. And so everybody that's in there, they know that, wow, this is a place I can talk. And these people know what I'm going through. Well, this gentleman happened to mention to me at our first social, he said, this is the first time in over 2 years that I've left my house. He said, I've not done anything social in over 2 years. Holy cow. He said, yeah, he said, I isolated myself. We know of other people in Dodge County that have Parkinson's. We've sent letters, we invite them, we do whatever we can. Most of the people that have come in, it's because somebody that knew me, knew them, and literally almost went and grabbed them and dragged them in. So when I asked you today to raise your hand if you know someone, I did that on purpose. I need you to do them a favor. You need to push, cajole, challenge, drive them and pick them up and drive them over to meet us. The first time they walk into class and they see 6, 8, 10 other people who have the exact same challenges and experiences in life, they get to sit there and go, wow, and they get to share, and they talk. The guys usually stay, they usually come in anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes early. It's an hour and a half class, and they a lot of times stay for 10 or 15 or 20 minutes afterwards. We just did a social just about 2-3 weeks ago, and it was about 2 hours. It was awesome. It was great. We have a Facebook page. It's under, what's it under? Oh, Rock Steady Boxing Beaver Dam. Rock Steady Boxing Beaver Dam. Now, please don't be intimidated by what you see. It looks like, oh my gosh. But I try to videotape as many different things as I possibly can of the things that we do to show the balance, the dexterity, the funness, the camaraderie, the challenges. It's a really fun class. But that mental, emotional, the social, those things are so much more debilitating than what you see, than what that physical part, the physical struggles, the struggles are bad. But that's why we need your help to do whatever you can to get them in there. We've got flyers on the table out there and stuff. Please grab one and give it to them, but generally it's not enough. Ask them to call me. Usually what we do on the first time that someone comes to the center, I invite one of the other boxers to come in to the meeting. So when they come in, it's not me, not talking to me. Basically, they talk to me for a couple minutes, and then they'll sit and chat with Andy or Jim or Kevin, and that's all it takes. All of a sudden, they meet somebody who's struggling, who understands what they're going through. The social part of our class is probably the most powerful. The ability to be in a room with people who understand exactly what you're going through. And you want to tell us a little bit about maybe some of the things, how it's affected your life, some of the things, maybe the changes, what you feel like, all those kind of things?
Sure.
The Joker. Clap for the Joker.
Good afternoon. Good thing I have the microphone because I have my usual Parkinson's take over the world. I do this all the time and I don't realize it, so now I can't take over the world. I'm fine. Parkinson's kind of snuck up on me. My doctor for years told me I was under too much stress and I needed to lose some weight. I needed to exercise. I needed to eat better. It really didn't help much. At work, I began to forget things. And I've been with the same company for 26 years. And things have changed in 26 years, but I couldn't remember the most recent change. I had to sit through about 6 other ones and try to figure out which one was right. It was very frustrating. So I ended up in the ER, and as time went by, my diagnosis was Parkinson's disease with cognitive impairment. I'm 59 years old, and my birthday was yesterday. I'm still pretty young.
Happy birthday!
I didn't say that to get a happy birthday. I said that I was 59 years old, and I got kids to raise, and I got Parkinson's. Sucks. Right? So, what do you do? People tell me that it's not going to get any better. It's kind of the way it is. Just kind of give you some medicine, and life will kind of gradually get worse. I don't buy that. It's not acceptable to me. So, oh, by the way, I've cried more in the last year than I have in my entire life. And my wife will tell you, he's a big manly man. I watch a TV show or a movie and I'm crying like, what the hell's wrong with me? But as part of Parkinson's, and I refuse to accept that I'm just going to get worse. So what do? Luckily, Rocksteady Boxing comes to Beaver Dam almost the exact same time I get diagnosed, and I sign up, and it's helped me immensely. It's kind of sneaky though, because I'm a lot better physically, I think. Mentally, it's okay, it helps. But halfway through it, I almost feel normal. And I feel good. And then a couple hours later, it comes back. That's hard. Because you kind of get, whoop, and then you can feel it coming back. I told my wife the other day that I will never lose my battle against Parkinson's. Well, how can you say that? Well, because there's other things that Parkinson's brings with it that can also end your life, but it dies too, so I consider it a draw. So, well, our program is awesome. I think that I get just as much out of it with my fellow boxers. I love those guys. Because they get it. I slept like crap last night. Yeah, so did I. That's Marcus. What do you do? I had this happen, or I had that happen. That's helped me just as much, I think, as the physical side, because they get me. They understand when you get out of a car for a 15-minute drive and my legs are like this. And no matter how much my brain tells me, my legs go, I'm only moving this fast and that's all you're getting, buddy. That's how it works. So, I don't know what else I can tell you, other than the fact that Frank Scott has opened his doors to us. And I'm not a very social person, and even after I got Parkinson's, I'm even worse because I don't like being around crowds and noise and activity. My brain just goes, it doesn't know what to do, and this starts happening in the morning. Though I can make a nasty martini if you want. I never lost my sense of humor either. God help me. I mean, those folks, they're all fighting the same battle. And their families are fighting the same battle because it's tough on them. It hurts me to see my wife have to go through what I do. But that's cool. It's good. And the boxing part of it will help you. I look at all of them, every one of them that started with me, in a sense, the ones that have come on board, I can't believe you just did that. Because when you first started the first day, you can do none of this. We were falling around, tripping over one another. And now you just watch, and it's just like, that's awesome. That's really cool. So, does anybody have any questions? Because I think I'm rambling on long enough. Yes, ma'am?
Is there any locations near Milwaukee?
Yes. Yeah, there's quite a few actually.
Is there?
Yeah.
Any, just as long as it's boxing?
Just go to rocksteadyboxing.com and you'll put in zip code. It'll show you the locations in Wisconsin. There's about 8 or 9 of them.
Great. Another question is it affordable and
Our program and
Go ahead. Is it affordable?
I was wondering if it was affordable and could you give us
it's just
something, show us physically?
Oh, we're good. And I brought Andy to show off, so, well, we wanted to see you rest for a second, then we're going to go out so we can show it. Yes. We, does anybody see the show, what's it called? With the Minions? Despicable Me, right? All right, so I'll just give you a little bit of, we have fun, we have a lot of fun in the class. Everybody has nicknames. And over the last few months, I've teased them from time to time, tell them they're my minions. And so, my birthday was last week, so they decided to get together. And they all came in wearing Minion t-shirts. And everyone were the characters. Everyone was the kind of their personality. And they gave me the shirt with the head guy. Anybody know the head guy? Gru. I didn't know his name. I'm Gru. My name, I'll tell them my nickname for April was Tater. Here's how it went. It was about in March sometime. I was teaching class and they decided they wanted to kind of change the rules. I said, oh no, guys. I said, this is my world. This is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship. You live in Scotland and I'm the dictator. Well, they decided to take that and cut the thing up. So I became Tater Tot. They came up with all different kinds of versions. So I told them they get to use that name for 1 month only. So my new one is Gru. I kind of like that. They're my minions. So. She's the one that committed suicide, unfortunately. Here's the reason why we're calling the program Rock Steady rather than just Rock Steady Boxing. Because most people are intimidated, and this lady was very much, oh, I don't know how to box, I don't want to box. I tried to convince the company to change it to Rock Steady instead of Rock Steady Boxing. Unfortunately, they had to get the go-ahead from 700 other locations, so they didn't agree. So we call ours Rock Steady, even though our shirts say Rock Steady Boxing. It's just a tool that we use is the boxing. But from a point of view, they say it's about 40%. If you, across the world, it's about 60% guys, 40% women who have Parkinson's. Our program right now is all guys, and we needed to get some girls in there. The guys just stink. No, they don't. We do know of a number of women, actually, that are out there that have it. We have not been able to get them to come in yet. And that's kind of a barrier to entry, a perception that, oh, I'm just going to go in there and box. No, we don't box, we don't hit each other. They hit me more than anything. It's more just part of what we do. Question? Yes, please.
Well, I know so many people now in their 50s. It's scary, you know, Parkinson's, it just makes you wonder
What's going on? Yeah. Parkinson's used to be perceived as a disease that you got in your 60s, 70s, 80s. Wasn't unusual. Now all of a sudden, early onset is 50s. Well, now they're having people 40s, 30s. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the world. They don't know what causes Parkinson's. They don't know what causes it. They don't know what the cure is. There's a lot of people out there working on that. Rock Steady is working on quality of life. Let me share a couple. I want more questions, please. I want to share a couple more things with you about Parkinson's, just so if you meet or you're with someone who has Parkinson's, you can understand. This is one of the most profound physical effects. It's called flat face. Okay, and I give you my experience with it. They taught us about it in Indianapolis. But the first couple of weeks we were teaching class, and understand, I have been teaching for a long time. So I teach with energy and excitement and enthusiasm, and I'm having fun, I'm kicking butt, just we're having a blast, no matter what I'm teaching. And I'm in the Rock Steady class, and we're out there, we're working, and everybody's like this. Like, oh man, I must really suck. They don't like me. I literally had to go up and say, do you not like me? No, we love you, sir. Well, show it. Andy can smile. Every person has different symptoms. There's no, across the board, this is what the actual symptom, every one of our boxers has different symptoms. Andy, as he said, his is more very much in the cognitive function. We have some people that really, really shake a lot. Somebody that shakes not at all. You'll notice that sometimes in the foot drag, that we have on one side of the body, we have foot drag. But if you meet someone, if you're talking to someone with Parkinson's, don't be offended. They will not show emotion on their face. We have a couple people there's nothing there. It's like, holy cow. But I've learned that, hey, they're having a blast. If they're working hard, they're having fun, we have a great time. But that's something you'll see. The other thing is very low voice. The voice will get softer and softer and softer and softer. So as a part of the class, we do a lot of work with just yelling and talking and counting loud and building the strength of the voice. It's something that, again, in a social setting, a lot of times people tell me they don't want to be social if you have Parkinson's because whether it's the voice or the shaking or the inability to, dialogue at a normal pace sometimes, all of those things make them feel embarrassed. They shouldn't be, but people don't know what Parkinson's is. Oh, I asked you before. This just about made me cry. I know for a fact, 2 of our boxers have had the police called on them when they were in public because the people they were with their children. Somebody thought they were drunk because of the shaking and the slurred voice and the inability to communicate and understand. As Andy explained a little bit, this is how their day goes. Like this, they'll be here, and then as the dopamine levels and the drugs that they take are synthetic dopamine, so the levels are up, and all of a sudden the body, it's got a very, very short half-life. just a few hours, so all of a sudden that level goes back down. Oops, they need to take it, now it brings them back up. So if they're down here, they could be frozen or shaking or literally the inability to move. They're absolutely, but they're slurring. And so can you imagine what it's like to be in public and have the police come up and say, sir, are you drunk? Are you okay? These people are, no, I have Parkinson's. So you can understand why going out into social settings could potentially be a challenge. So the more the word gets out, the more people understand. Now when I walk through a store, it's funny, we have 3 or 4 coaches at the gym who are all certified in the Parkinson's program. We all talk from time to time and say, gosh, when we walk through a store, we now can just watch people. I can just tell by a person's gait or the handshake is pretty easy to identify and stuff. But there's some other things, especially that flat face. I have one time, I'm very careful about it, but I was very sure of this. I just went up to a person and said, do you have Parkinson's? He said, yeah. And I told them I did, and they weren't from around here, unfortunately, but I said, here, let me tell you about our program. This program's offered around the country, and they were very, very grateful to me, okay? But my experience allowed me to recognize what they were going through and the challenges that they had. Question, ma'am? Yes?
You said your organization's all across the country. Is Michael J. Fox in this organization?
No, great question. Michael J. Fox is probably the most famous person with Parkinson's besides Muhammad Ali. Michael J. Fox's foundation, their goal, their purpose is to determine what is the cause of Parkinson's and to find a cure. They raise millions and millions of dollars. There's a couple of other national, international organizations that do that. Rocksteady Boxing is only one purpose. You have Parkinson's, there is no cure. Let's make your life as awesome as we possibly can. That's what the program is all about. So, it's a nonprofit, national nonprofit organization. My business is supposedly a profit organization, but we don't always make money. And I know the question was asked earlier, is it affordable? The program generally runs, depending on where you're at in the country and stuff, anywhere usually between about $70 and $125 a month for classes.
Does insurance cover it?
Insurance does not cover it, unfortunately, because there's tons and tons of research that's proved the effectiveness of Rocksteady program, but insurance companies just don't want to spend the money, which is too bad, because do they pay for your drugs, Andy? Some of them? The Lupadopa? Does the insurance company pay for the drugs? So the sad part is the drugs are obviously extremely expensive. If someone's in our program, I just talked to one of the guys last week, and he's been able to cut back on the amount of drugs and the number of different drugs they take because of being in the program. So the insurance company would actually save money if they paid for the program. But we're not going to convince them of that. Other questions, ma'am?
I thought I heard you say something about you don't hit each other.
No, not really.
I was going to ask you, is there a medical question you have to fill out?
Great. We need to get a release from the neurologist sometime in the first month to let us know it's okay. Very, very few neurologists anymore don't know about the program. Most of them know about it. They're like, wow, yes, go. The ones that don't know usually go and do a little research and go, yeah, wow, go do this. This program is backed up by tons and tons of medical research. The University of Indianapolis, because that's where the program started, they now actually connected the program and the university, so they do a lot of stuff together. So it's, but we get a medical release. There are, basically when something comes in, we just have to take a class, take a couple classes, try us out, meet some of the people, and have a blast. And they just want to come back. Ma'am?
I worked in a nursing home, and one of the residents there had Parkinson's. Then I had a neighbor that lived a block down, worked at the prison, and he would just constantly run to the house for lunch, go back. Well, it ended up, he was in the nursing home. It took him all morning to wash his face, brush his teeth. Then he would go to eat, and he would get a tray of food it would take him 2 hours to eat one meal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, the effects of Parkinson's are pretty intense. We have people, our youngest boxer is 51, our oldest is 80. He's awesome. He's really super cool guy, loves it. We actually adjusted our schedule right now for the summertime, so our boxers could make sure they fit golf in before they come in and do it. Because a lot of them love to golf, so I said, well, I'm okay with that, absolutely. They do the intense exercise on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. It's encouraged they do some other kind of exercise. It's been proven that just simple like, well, I'm going to go lift weights or I'm going to go ride a bicycle, it's not enough. That's why in our 90-minute class, there's so many different things that we do. If you go on the Facebook page and watch the pictures and the videos, you go, whoa, these guys do a lot. Now, what you may not notice in the videos is there'll be guys like Andy just firing and hitting hard, and there'll be other people going about this fast. So we have different levels within the class. Everybody just operates and performs at their level. There's no expectations. As our class grows, there'll probably be a time where we'll actually split it up into 2 different groups, depending on their abilities and movements and needs and stuff. We're always looking for what we call coaches and volunteers. If you yourself would like to come in and help out one morning a week or something, just be in there and be a part of the class, that always helps us. It gives us the ability to do more things. There's stuff that we do in the class where actually one of our volunteers will be like the older gentleman. His left side, if he tries to stand on that left leg, it's really over because he hasn't used it a lot over the last few years once he got diagnosed. And so now we make everybody use both sides and strengthen that side, but he might be a little bit unstable, so we assign someone to him. In time, we know that we're going to have people coming in who are in the later stages of Parkinson's. So if you know someone who's in a wheelchair with Parkinson's, send them our way. If they're in a walker, send them our way. It makes no difference. We adjust and adapt everything we do to their ability level. They say, well, I can't do much. Yes, but you can do something, and that something will be enough to change the quality of your life. So right now, we just have them all in one class, and they just have a blast. Other questions? Oh, yeah.
So, are you saying that it has to be intense to work, but now you just said at your own?
It's
So
good.
you need to work up to intense?
Okay.
Or what?
Good. For Andy, intense is very different than like Ron. Okay? For Ron, this is intense. For Andy, that's intense. So it's what's intense for them based on where they're at, what their physical levels are and stuff. Yeah. So we say forced intense exercise, which means forced beyond what you will normally do on your own. It's very hard to get into the gym and go work out really hard for an hour, hour and a half. I know I'll make excuses. I mean, I didn't build this donut belly, you know. I need to get rid of this thing. Yeah, so everybody's working at their own pace and their own level and to their own needs. Probably some of the biggest stuff is how to get up, how to fall down, how to get back up. And so that's a really good skill to work on. Man.
You said you have a certification. Is that similar, you have a certification in Parkinson's, or is that similar to the Big and Loud program, or?
Okay, Big and Loud is the singing program, correct?
No, Big and Loud is a program geared towards Parkinson's for big movements and loud voice.
Okay.
So you're kind of mimicking the same, it seems like you're mimicking about the same kind of program with the big movements and the loud voice. So I wondered if there was a correlation.
All right, so I'm a certified coach. We have 3 other certified coaches in our facility. I've looked into, actually there's another one that does the voice one because they invited me to come to their program as well. We do everything from big motions to very, very tiny. One of the guys was telling me here, one of the biggest challenges he said he's had lately is when he goes to the bathroom, he freezes up in front of the urinal. You go, holy cow, what do you do? So, but there's things that we can do, there's tools that we can put in place. So we work in everything from small, tiny steps to large footworks to center lines to spinning, all kinds of different tools. We actually have a flashlight drill where it's teaching them rather than think, okay, step, move my right foot. It's, oh no, there's a leg up, step on. So it's changing, it's called disguised repetition. So we do everything from the smallest little movements up to very large, big movements. And for many of them, big movements are actually easier than the smaller ones. So, yeah, so it's very, very, the rock study is extremely broad in what we do. But we get to hit things.
So therapy usually uses a belt around people, and we're talking about possible things. You need to belt them to secure them, keep them safe.
None of our people,
Respect.
good. None of our people need belts right now. There are people that will be at different progression levels in Parkinson's who will. And when they come, that's where we have volunteers. That would be considered what we call a level 4. There's level 1, 2, 3, 4. Level 4 person is one who needs someone with them at all times. So that's where we use either volunteers or what's called a corner man. They can bring a spouse or a guest with them every time. Our corner men train for free. They don't charge anything. So if Andy wanted to bring his wife, she comes for free. She's there as either as his emotional sort, fun sort, or just for her to beat on him because he deserves it. But she works full time. So yeah. So that again is an example of someone who needs extra care, but they still will be very successful in the program. If we would just move them from place to place, they'd be able to do the stuff we do.
Okay.
So it sounds like what you're doing is so broad, from little to very large. You don't have a little clip of a little, this particular thing that you might do generally, or this is too broad for that?
You mean right now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Andy, let's hit some stuff. Get your box on, get your gloves on, let's hit something.
There you go.
We asked you like what?
All right. So we do a lot of footwork drills. Boxing is really a lot about footwork. So I have balance beams and lines. We will do stuff going across the floor here, here, turning here, cross stepping here. It's just a myriad of everything. Actually, we use balance beams. We elevate the balance beams. We incline them. Everything that will challenge their focus, their center line, and allow them to become more comfortable. From a physical point of view with the boxing, in Parkinson's, your shoulders and arm movements tend to shorten up and become small. So that's maybe where the big love program comes from. So we really want them to extend. So in this case, Andy's going to throw a jab. Good. He's going to reach out. He's going to throw a cross. And what do we always tell Andy? Andy, breathe. Andy, breathe. Andy, breathe. From the day Andy started those breaths, breathe out. So jab cross up. 1. Good. Jab cross up. And move around. Okay, now here's the neat thing, is if he's just out here trying to move, I want you guys to watch. Okay, now if you just saw a moment ago when Andy was real tense, real stiff, wasn't he? Watch him as he stops thinking about his footwork. His feet are going to start moving very naturally. All of a sudden, he's not thinking about it. So here we go, jab cross. Again, go. Jab cross, recover. Good. Breathe. Okay, 1, 2. 1, 2. You hear it loud. Ready? 1, 2. Go. Yeah, 1, 2. 1, 2. Good. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay. Cover. Go. 1, 2. 1, 2. The reason we do some drills where we actually tap them is we want them to be under stress. In life, they feel stressed a lot. One of the things Andy brought up, and I had, is one of the reasons they don't, Parkinson's don't become social, is because, people around them make them very nervous. It's very hard for them to process something. All of a sudden, even sometimes going through a doorway will cause them to freeze up. So we do things in the class to try to simulate some of that real life stress, and then let them go, and let them work through it and stuff. So we'll do like this morning, we did a fun drill. We had them against, here, he was against here, stand up against there. Okay, his back was against the wall. I'm Parkinson's, and I'm beating on old Andy. And then I said, ready, set, go, and he went. He looks really good, right? He didn't look like this back in December. And he's doing awesome. We have focus mitts, we have bags. One of the coolest things I never realized, we have those speed bags, those things go, and we have those there for focus, coordination. We do a lot of work with cognitive function. Because
My facility is quite unique. We're a martial arts facility with actually 3 different martial arts programs, a Ninja Warrior Academy. So we're able to grab all of the different things in the building and use them. And we also do, we actually do a traditional Okinawa women's program where we use a bow staff. And you like this stuff, don't you?
I hate this day.
We have sticks, either one each hand or here, and the idea is for kids, oh, I'm not going to do that. The idea is that it connects the right and left sides of the brain and the fire sensors. Part of the times your arms or hands are connected on the bow staff or stick. Other times you have one in each hand, you've got to use them both. And it's for someone with challenges in cognitive function, it's extremely powerful. It helps fire those neurons and do things that they wouldn't normally do. So it's just another one of the pieces that we grab that we put into the classroom. We do a lot of strengthening, a lot of core work, a lot of flexibility. And no matter who gets older, your flexibility, your joints get tight. So I'm actually very fortunate. One of my coaches is a very, very experienced physical therapist. So she's in there coaching everybody on the different proper stretching and stuff to keep them safe. Okay, we were.
You always gotta be paying attention.
Now you know why we call him Joe. We have a minister in there. His nickname is Evil Jeff. Evil Jeff, if I'm not paying attention, Evil Jeff will punch me all the time. He said, I spent my entire life being a big guy. He said, I'm letting the guy out. So Evil Jeff comes and he has the best little grin on his face all the time. He's hilarious, but if you turn your back, he's gonna tap you one. So we work upper and lower body. Actually, when I was at the training, I asked the training coaches, I said, why don't you guys kick? They said, well, the simple reason is because we were boxers. That's all we knew. I said, I can take my 50 years of martial arts training. She said, absolutely. So we do a lot of kicking as well, because then we work a lot of that center line, work on one leg, work on the other leg, focus and balance. So here we go. So it's down low, it's kick, just kick it, there we go. It was up high, we punch. So here's where the guys work with the balance, whether you realize it or not, he's working the core. Every time you pick your knee up, it's like doing a crunch, but you're doing it standing. Now, here's the cognitive function piece of this drill. He's got to quickly recognize, like, if I pop it here, he's got to kick it. I pop it here, he's got to punch. Down here, he's got to kick. So we do a lot of simple things like that to force them to focus and react very quickly. Again, it's fun. They can hit things, they can hit stuff. Does it feel good to hit the bag, Andy?
It feels awesome.
That's just a really, really short little piece. Go on Facebook, watch. There's a lot of neat drills and videos up there and stuff. Actually, telling people to know about that page are you guys and then these guys and their family. But I put it up there, and we do that stuff so their family can see what they're doing. They're amazing. These guys are just absolutely extraordinary people. And what they're doing, you go, man, I couldn't do that. I don't have Parkinson's. Yeah, you could. These guys have an extra incentive, but it's amazing. So go out and watch some stuff. It's very, very cool. Please, again, there's flyers out there on the table. Give them to your friends, but understand, just telling them about the program is not going to bring them in. You need to force them to make the call. Keep asking them, have you done anything? Your life can get better. Try it. Just talk to them. They'll actually introduce you to some of the guys like Andy and stuff. So, any other quick questions?
One more thing. I'm willing to talk to anyone. So if someone wants to talk to somebody that actually does it, I will make time anytime to talk to anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Just call our number. It's 887-7545. It's on our flyer. It's 887-7545. Volunteers have a blast. It's fun. You get to do the program. You do the class. Pardon? Great question. Our classes are only in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings. Here's the reason why. By 5 o'clock at night, for most of them, it's really on the downward slide. So we want to do it in the early part of the day. Our class was at 9:30 to 11 until this week. So we get a really good bump, like Andy said, he feels better afterwards and stuff, he's got a good chunk of the day yet to enjoy the experience, but, so it's just a morning activity right now. Other questions?
Good job.
Please feel free to call us. Thanks, everyone.